Welcome back, guys. This is What's Not Sport, your weekly sporting podcast. My unprofessional opinion. Welcome back. We had a big week in the NRL. It was really good. I'm keen to talk about that this week. We're going to touch on AFL. I realised I stuffed up a lot with tipping last week, so I'm going to try and fix that up for this week. And we'll touch a little bit on different sports. We had the Origin 2 game team list come out. Um, I'm really excited to talk about Origin, but as a Queenslander, I really want to unpack it because there was a lot of team changes compared to New South Wales, which was only one due to injury. I'd really want to I'm going to do a separate pod in the next few days that's going to come out, and that's going to be dedicated to Origin. Talk about all the things Queensland, because I am a Queenslander. Talk about some things New South Wales. Talk about and then what to expect from the game. So yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that. Um, yeah, I don't have any fan item on today, so no Raiders gear today. I'm actually very cold. Winter is coming, so I'm just in a hoodie, staying rugged up for this pod. So if you're watching the video of the podcast, that's why I'm not in any green today, but I'm in maroon, so go Queensland. Yeah, let's kick off. So, in the world of sporting news, I we've had the swimming trials on um, for the Australian swimming team to make the world's team. That will be in Singapore later on in the year. I think some really notable things would be Lani Pallister breaking the 4 minute mark in the women's 400 free. She ended up winning the event. An absolutely incredible swim. It was really cool to see that because that 4 minute barrier is there's not a lot of women who have gone under it yet. So it was very exciting and cool to watch that. I haven't watched too much of it, but another thing I wanted to touch on, which I find very interesting, Cam McAvoy, um, had the 50-meter swim last night. So today is Thursday. The pod will be dropping this morning on Thursday, um, and really interesting stat. He said he has had his fastest 50-meter start in a 15-meter start in a 50-meter race. So I believe the time was 50.06 seconds for 15 meters, which is, I thought, wow, very, very fast. So that's very cool. I thought I'd throw a little bit of swimming in this week. So for those who are into swimming can hear a little bit about it. Now, on to some other sports. In the world of surf sports, we were having a big change with the Coolangatta Gold this season. It will be called the Coolangatta Gold, but it will be completely reformatted to the point where I don't I don't think it should be called the Gold. I think it should be called something different. It's about, instead of a 42K race, it's about, I think it's 30 kilometers. So it's a 14-kilometer ski paddle, a 2K swim, a 4K board, and then a 5K run. So do the math. It's 25, I think it is, which is super short compared to the traditional long. So about 15 to 17 kilometers shorter. From my understanding, it's actually split up. So the 5 kilometer run leg will be spread out through the whole race instead of it at the end. And from my understanding, it's going to be the ski leg, but it's going to be split up in half. So it's going to be 7 kilometers on the ski. You then do a run leg, 7 kilometers on the ski, run leg, and then swim 1K, run, swim 1K, run, board 2Ks, run, board 2Ks, and then run to finish off. So that's my understanding. I think it'll be very exciting. That means that then the short course is even shorter. So I think it's something, I think it's just half of all of that. So a 7 kilometer ski paddle, so 3.5, run 3.5, a 1 kilometer swim, so 500 meters swim, run 500 meters, and then a 2K board, 1K, and then run 1K, and then run. So I think that'll make it very entertaining. I don't think we can call it the gold anymore, but I understand that it is called the gold, so it is what it is. But it's going to be super exciting. I'm assuming Shaw and Partners are going to be putting more money into it from the sounds of it, and it will be it like the gold has always been boring to watch. It would be super exciting to watch. It'll be super palatable, and yeah, adds a new aspect to the sport, which I'm really excited about. It actually is the first round of the Shaw and Partners Iron Series, so we've got the professionals going around. So that means Ali's. I don't know if he'll be reluctant to doing it, but he will be lining up to do the gold again after saying 10 10 perfect races was enough. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if he can go win 11 in this new format. It's a bit shorter, but I'm going to back him because it is endurance, it is his strength. But I think it's going to be a lot closer this season. On the other things in the world of surf sports, we've had a few people move. The two notable ones that I've heard of, Connor Maggs is now up on the Gold Coast. He is now at Mermaid Beach under Kai Hurst. Very interesting move. It'll be very interesting to see what happens from there. And then the other one is Naomi Scott is going home back to Manly after an incredible season. Both had very good seasons last season, and they're making big moves. Naomi, I think she's moving home to pursue dreams outside of the sport, which is understandable. And yeah, best of luck to both of them. And now in the cricket, we are stumps up at the time of this recording. It's Australia versus South Africa. South Africa chose to bowl first. We were all out for 212. I think the worst part of that was Kawaja getting out for a duck after facing 20 balls. Very disappointing. It's now Africa's now scored 43 runs, but we've got 4 wickets on him, so it is actually looking pretty good for Australia at the moment. It's only the first inning, so yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the cricket. But obviously, I'm back in Australia, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting game. Very, very exciting. Sorry about that. Just a quick drink break. Radio. Let's kick on to AFL. So I do realise I stuffed up my tipping last week. I apologise. I'll just go around with who I would have probably picked, and yeah, who I would have probably picked, and yeah, who won and everything. So we had a pretty good week of footy, I thought. Quite a few close games. Oh, sorry for the yawning, guys. Yeah. So to kick off the week, we had the Doggies versus Hawks. We had Adelaide versus Brisbane, Richmond versus Sydney, Geelong versus Gold Coast, GWS versus Port, North Melbourne versus West Coast, Carlton versus Essendon, and Melbourne versus Collingwood for the big freeze game. The last 2 games of the round were very exciting. I was actually in Melbourne. I got the opportunity to go watch the Carlton Essendon game. It was pretty good. Very thrilling towards the end. It got very close. So yeah. So the Hawks got it done this week. Finally, my Hawks are back. I don't know if you can call it back just yet, but no, it's great to see the Hawks get a win. hopefully they can continue that on and find a bit of form. A really exciting game, Adelaide Brisbane. Adelaide actually got over Brisbane, which surprised me, but it leads up to a very exciting rest of the season. Brisbane really need to start to lock in. I was surprised that they didn't win this game, so we'll see what happens from Brisbane in the next few weeks. We then had Richmond versus Sydney. Sydney got the dub there, no doubt there. Thought Sydney would. As I said, I did get my tipping wrong, so I'm probably going to say every team that won, I tip. But anyway, it was a stronger performance. It wasn't very close compared to the last game. But yeah, Sydney finally getting another win after a while. One that they really needed. We then had Geelong Gold Coast. I was expecting this to be a close game. I thought the Gold Coast would get up here, but Geelong got the win there. GWS Port. I really thought GWS was going to be in some good form this week. Didn't quite get there. Port got the win there. We then had a pretty close game. North Melbourne, West Coast. North Melbourne got the win there. I'm not sure who I would have picked. We then had Carlton, Essendon. I 100% would have backed Carlton. Went to the game. Carlton had an incredible first half, but they always do. So it's really their back half that they got to work on. Essendon really were in the hunt, but I thought it was really exciting because it came really close towards the end. So yeah, it was a pretty cool game. Carlton obviously getting the win there, and another really close game. Melbourne versus Collingwood. There was the big freeze on the Monday, and Collingwood got the dub. So very good, very cool. Some close, tight games. That was only by 1 point. So we saw a lot of Melbourne fans on the train coming home from the game on Monday, and they looked very sad. So just not your week, I guess. Right, let's move on to next week's AFL. So we've got kicking off this week. We've got St Kilda versus Bulldogs, Hawks versus Adelaide, Brisbane versus GWS, Essendon versus Geelong, North Melbourne versus Freo, Port Adelaide versus Melbourne, West Coast versus Carlton. So St Kilda versus Bulldogs. I'm picking the Bulldogs to win. They were pretty close to getting the win over the Hawks last round, and they've been a pretty strong force at the moment. We then got Hawks versus Adelaide. I am a Hawks supporter. I'm backing the Hawks. The Crows are in good form. I just still think the Hawks can get it done. I think this will be a very close game, but we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it next week. Brisbane versus GWS. Both a little bit out of form, I guess one could say. I'm going to pick Brisbane just based that they are a premiership winning team and they can do it. So Brisbane there. Essendon, Geelong. Geelong will go over Essendon easily. Freo, North Melbourne versus Freo. Very interesting game. I'm going to back Freo here. Port Adelaide versus Melbourne. Very interesting. I'm going to back Melbourne. Port Adelaide versus Melbourne. I'm going to back Melbourne. The D's, yes, they just missed out on the weekend. Only lost by 1 point, so I reckon they can get the win here. And then West Coast versus Carlton. I'm going to back the Blues. Carlton. Rightio, that's AFL. Fingers crossed. Let's go. Let's kick on into the NRL. Let's start this. My tips are getting way better. Now, One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 out of 8. Pretty good. Pretty good. Very nice. That's 6 out of 8. The equivalent. That's 75% rate. That's very well over a pass. So we're going up now, guys. Look, we had Thursday night. We had the Knights versus Manly. Friday was Storm versus Cowboys, Dolphins versus Dragons, Sharks versus Warriors, and Broncos versus Titans on Saturday. And then Sunday we had Raiders versus Rabbitohs, Tigers versus Penrith, and to finish off the week, we got a Monday special with the King's birthday, the traditional game, Bulldogs versus Eels. Very interesting game. We'll touch on all of them in a second. Let's go through my tips, what I got right, what's going on in the game at the moment. And yeah. Okay. Knights versus Manly. What the hell? It was 16-0 at halftime or something like that. And it was Manly was up. It looked like Manly wasn't going to lose. And the Knights fans let the Knights know, booed their own team off the field after a shocking first half and a disgraceful first half. I did have conflict last week, if you remember, me trying to tip Knights versus Manly, and I reluctantly chose Manly. Man, I should have stuck with my gut feeling. Knights got the win, went to Golden Point. Kalen Ponga scored his first try of the season. Incredible that he hasn't scored one already. But yes, he got it done, scored the try, got the win for Newcastle. Yeah, it was wild. I was mind blown. I don't know who to talk bad about or who to talk about at all, who to talk good about, because it was it was a great first half from Manly and shocking from the Knights, but then a Knights to come back and then to win in Golden Point is an incredible feat to do at the moment in the comp, especially against Manly that have put up large points against top 8 teams. Like it's my mind just was in shock. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, honestly, just it was great footy though to see the game finish up so close after there being such a deficit at half time. So I got that chip wrong though. Let's move on. Storm versus Cowboys. Just wow, oh wow. I thought the Cowboys was a stronger team. For one, I knew this. I tipped the Storm to win. It was just I didn't think it would be by so much. It was quite dominating over the Storm. But yeah, I was like, I knew the Storm would win. They're such a finely tuned team where the Cowboys can get it done, but they like to do it rough, scrappy, which is a good way of footy. I enjoy watching the Cowboys, but I just didn't think the Storm almost bulldozed them by 20. It was 38-14, so they won by 24 points. But I got that one right. And speaking of bulldozing, I am so sorry for Dragons fans. It looks like I reckon after the performance against the Dolphins, fins up. What the hell? Like 56-6, getting dominated by 50 points by the Dragons. By the Dolphins. Dragons, what's going on in your team? Like, I see that and I believe the Dragons are heading to the bottom four now. You can't lose to a team by 50 points. Earlier in the season, I told you all I backed the Dolphins to get in the top 8 and make finals. And yes, I did have Dragons at the spoon. Hasn't all panned out to that. Well, Dolphins are now in top 8, and Dragons are getting beaten by 50 points. So, I can't. I don't know what went wrong with the Dragons, but getting beaten by 50 points by the Dolphins, who are a strong team, but they don't have a positive winning stat yet. I just don't see much hope for Dragons. Sorry, Dragons fans. Yeah, I just don't see much hope for you. But on the other side, Dolphins, this is looking luscious for you guys. It's looking really good. The Origin week, the bye rounds, you got Dolphins don't have too many away, so they can keep building. Try and get a little win streak going, and yeah, see what happens from there. Okay, let's move on. Sharks vs Warriors. I picked the Sharks. Sorry, no, I picked the Wars, and I don't think the Wars were the favourites. Actually, I'm pretty sure the Sharks were the favourites, but the Wars just stomped over the Sharks, and yeah, it was quite interesting. I didn't watch this game. It was the one of the only two games that I didn't watch over the weekend. Oh my god, sorry, that was very disrespectful. That yawn. I'm a bit tired. I woke up, come straight up to do the pod because I need to get one out. I only got home from Melbourne yesterday, so sorry if the pod seems a bit low energy. I'm very tired. But yeah, sorry, back. Sharks vs Wars. I really am surprised that the Wars won by so much. 40-10. Like beat the Sharks by 30 points. Just casually beat a top top 8 team by 40 points. They're really showing why they're there. The Wires are looking in fine form. Watch them come finals. They're going to be a hard team to beat, unless you're the Raiders. Haven't lost to them yet. But yes, they're looking deadly. Unfortunately for the Wires, I think I talked about this last week. Barnett's out now. It's probably out for the whole season, which is a bit unfortunate, but I guess it is what it is. But they're still performing quite well. With our Broncos versus Titans, I tipped the Bronx. They got the win. They bulldozed the Titans. Another bulldozer game. There was quite a few dominant games this weekend, which was very interesting. There was probably only two games that were really close. And yeah, Reece Walsh was back, played an excellent game of footy, scored a double. Can't complain with that. He looks in good form. Give him a few weeks. If he puts on a dominant display in club level footy, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in Origin for game 3, unless Queensland have a fantastic game, which I know they will. But yeah, you get what I mean. It was a very good game of footy from Reece. The Titans they're lost at the moment. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what they have to do. They might need a complete restructure. I don't know if it's Des or what, but yeah. But the Broncos have been very inconsistent. They've been consistently inconsistent, as one would say. So very interesting. Let's see what happens over the bye period. See if the Broncos can still get up. They got a couple missing due to Origin, so yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens from there. Right, Raiders versus Bunnies. Up until this moment in time, I'd only thought I'd seen something perfect. After this game, I have now realised there's only one thing that I've seen that is perfect, and that was that game. Big Papa becoming the most capped Raiders player, 319 games, playing in the middle. It's an incredible feat. Yeah, so most capped player for Canberra, beating Jason Croker's record. Man, oh man, just incredible, just incredible. Look, going into half time, we were down. Going into the last 10 minutes of the first half, we were down. It was 12-0. We then finished up 36-12. The Raiders' back half just needs to be studied. It is incredible. When they are down from the first half, they have an excellent record winning the back half. It's pretty good. As a Raiders fan, I'm very happy with how the game went. The moment we got that first try in the first half, I was like, okay, I feel confident we're going to get this done. And then we just bulldozed them. Ethan Strange stepped up to goal kicking this week with Jamal possibly still having a little pain in the groin. So Jamal's back, played a great game. But yeah, Ethan Strange was great. He scored a double. Um, I just the game was perfect, especially for Papali. Like he came off, he was started on the field, went off on the bench, and then came back on, scored a try, and then scored another. He scored a double on a record-breaking game, and then he converted the goal, and he like barely kicked the ball, and it went perfectly over the black dot, and it had so much power behind it. I just, I was in so much awe. It was the best thing ever. I actually backed him to get a double. I didn't say it on pod. I actually decided right before the game. I had 40 cents left in my sportsbet account. I went, Papali's going to score a double here. Put it on. Ended up winning about $15 on it. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with that. So I tipped him to get a try. Everyone was backing him, and I backed him to get a double, and he did. It was awesome. It was incredible. I think it was the perfect way to honor him. But I think the next stage is building him a statue outside GIO Stadium. But yeah, as a Raiders fan, as a Papa fan, as just a fan of the game, it was to see Big Papa get the perfect game, to do what he did, to win like the Raiders won. It was just great. We'll move on. And yes, obviously I picked the Raiders, so another tip right. Dick. This is where I got my next tip, my second and tip wrong. Tigers versus Penrith. I thought Tigers would get the win there. Pretty close game. Maybe it came down to reffing. Not too sure on that. Benji thinks the Tigers got denied a bit of an opportunity to win. It is what it is. Like the game is what it is. The rest have been doing it all season, like unfair calls, in my opinion. And there's nothing we can do about it, which is a bit upsetting. And it's really upsetting for players, especially like that. I was really hoping the Tigers got up over Penrith, and they nearly did. They were looking good. I really like to see it. I liked seeing the battle of Luai and Cleary. It was interesting seeing them match up as sevens. But in all honesty, it was a really good game. So, in my opinion, I thought it was pretty close. So, shout out to the Tigers of the Panthers game. Tigers, I wish you got the win. And to finish off the week on Monday, we got blessed with a rugby game on a Monday afternoon. Bulldogs versus Eels. The Bulldogs at the win. I know exactly where to talk. My talking points for this game was, and it's just Lockie Galvin. What the hell? Lockie Galvin has now possibly disrupted the flow of the Bulldogs. It's very, very interesting. He came on to the field with about 15 or 20 minutes left in the game, and they were winning. They won by quite a bit, 30-12. And he comes on, and he's told Toby Sexton, mate, you're moving into 9. Toby Sexton's like, you're joking, right? And he goes, no, you're going to 9. Right. Goes up. Tells Reed Mahoney, yep, I'm playing 9. Reed Mahoney gets sent to the bench. He was not happy. Toby Sexton thought Lockie Galvin was just taking it out of him. And it was just weird, in all honesty. But interesting enough, Lockie Galvin got a try for the doggies. But there's a lot of is Lockie Galvin going to become a problem? Is he going to disrupt the flow of the Bulldogs being on the team? Like, yes, he slotted in great. Obviously, he scored a try. They got the win. He did only play 20 minutes. But is he causing too much drama? Will we see anything from that come? It'll be very interesting to see that. On that, I just wanted to say, even during the week, the Doggies had a meeting. Stephen Crichton, the captain of the Doggies, said that they were questioning Galvin on why he was leaving the Tigers and why come to the Doggies, all that, why the messy exit. They really just wanted the honest truth and clarity. It seems a lot of drama for a kid that they say is going to be a fantastic player, but we'll get to this towards the end of the pod, but I just don't have the stocks on him that everyone else does. I'm not admitting he's not a fantastic player and he'll be a great prospect in the future, but I don't know if he's worth all this drama at the moment, but we will see. That's to see what happens to decide. Like, that's for the NRL to see what happens. Okay, some talking points before I do my tips. I just want to talk about, yes, Origin's out. I'm leaving it out of this pod because I knew this pod would run a bit, like 40 minutes, hopefully, maybe even a little bit longer. I want to do a special Origin podcast. I didn't want to make this one too long. We talked about how perfect Papali's record-breaking Canberra game was. Build him a statue, please. Now, I want to talk about the top 8. Very interesting stats. I just was looking at it and I'm going, this is very interesting. So, three Queensland teams are in the top 8. There are only 4 Queensland teams in the comp, so pretty good ratio. So, for nearly 50%, not quite, like, it's, I don't know. It'll be 37% or no, 30% or something. I think that's right. No, 32% or something of the teams in the top 8 are Queensland. Very cool. And 3 out of 4. So pretty successful. 75% of the Queensland teams are in the top 8. We then have in the top 8, 6 of the teams in there, including Queensland ones, are not from New South Wales. So, and 6 out of the 7 non-New South Wales teams are in the top 8, if that makes sense. So, 6 of the teams in the top 8 are not from New South Wales. So 3 of them are from Queensland. You got Canberra. You've got the Wars. Who else am I missing? Canberra, Wars. Storm, obviously. And am I tripping? No, I'm not. Sorry, no. 6 of the 8. And then 6 of the 7 teams. So the only other team that's not in the top 8 that's not from New South Wales is Titans, and they're having a shocking season. So yeah, it's 6. I just thought that was very interesting, seeing that the comps and people would consider New South Wales dominant, and saying Queensland hasn't been going too well at the moment. But yes, 3 of the 4 teams are in the top 8, and there's only 2 teams from New South Wales in the top 8. So interesting stat for you guys if you're into stats. We've talked about that. Oh, Taylor May is set to make his return to NRL. He's coming back and he's playing for the Tigers. He's on a train and trial deal at the moment. He really just wants to play with Terrell May at the Doggies. He said he wanted to play alongside his brother, and I think that's really cool. I know there's a lot of things going around legally and just almost like politically around Taylor May. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool that he wants to come back to NRL and play with his brother. Now, before we get on tips, I want to talk about Selwyn Cobbo. What is going on with him? I actually quite enjoy watching Selwyn as a player. I thought he did a great role in the fullback. subbing in for Walsh. Madge obviously doesn't think so. He was dropped from the Selwyn was dropped from the starting side this week. I just don't know what's going on with him. Like, why is he getting dropped? I feel bad for the bloke. I think he's a very good player, and he's quick. He can play centre. He can play wing fullback. Yeah, it looks like he'll be leaving the Broncos. I don't know where he'll go. There was rumours of him going to South, but Wayne Bennett's already shut that down. So it'll be very interesting to follow what Selwyn Cobbo does over the next season. So just keep him on your mind. I'm sure when we get more news, we'll talk a bit more about him. Rightio, let's quickly jump into it for tips. Okay, kicking off the week, it's short round because it's the week before Origin. I only got 5 games, which is a bit sad, but it is what it is. So tonight we got Sharks vs Dragons, and then tomorrow Titans vs Sea Eagles, Titans vs Manly, one should say, Knights vs Roosters, Cowboys vs Dolphins, Rabbitohs vs Bulldogs. Let's go through my tips. I think the Sharks will get it over Dragons. Manly will get it over Titans. Oh, I actually had it penciled in as Knights winning over Roosters. You know what? I'm gonna back it. It'll be a very scrappy game. It'll only be by 2 points, but the Knights will get the win over the Roosters. Cowboys vs Dolphins. Hard to go past the Dolphins after winning by 50 points by any team. So I'm going to back them to beat the Cowboys, even though it is up in North Queensland. It'll be a very interesting game. I just think the Dolphins might be on a roll. And there's a few out. There's not that many. I don't even think there's any out for the Dolphins. Maybe one player. There's a few out for the Cowboys, Deard and Cotter. They're big impact players, so the Dolphins will get the win there. And to finish off, Rabbitohs vs Bulldogs. The Doggies they're too good to go past. Honestly, I hope they don't win. So the Raiders can get on the top of the ladder. So Rabbitohs do some work for us. But I'm tipping the Doggies because it'll be stupid not to. Let's go through my try score. I'll pick a try scorer for every game. So for the Sharks Dragons game, I got Gutho scoring. For the Titans Manly, I got Ruben Garrick scoring. For Knights Roosters, I got Gagai scoring. For Cowboys vs Dolphins, I've got Herbie Farnworth scoring. And for Rabbitohs Bulldogs, I got Karaz scoring. Bang. We've now got some cards to pull. I'll just stop when I get 3 players that are playing this weekend. I'm going to get right into it. The pod's running a bit longer than what I expected, so, yeah. Oh, yes. Could almost make one out of this. Yeah, honestly, 1-pack Warriors. Let's do it. So we got 2 WNRL, Women's NRL cards. We got Tamika Upton from the Newcastle Knights. And we got Hannity Sherrington from Parramatta Eels. I believe we've already pulled her. And now from this card, I actually like this. So this is a multi-anytime try scorers for the week. Lockie Galvin, no longer West Tigers, but he's Bulldogs. So Lockie Galvin. Jerome Hughes from the Storm. Hang on. Is the Storm playing? I don't know. Sorry. That's the stuff up on my half. We won't be doing 1-car Warriors because the Storm have the bye. But I'll back it with what we've got. Jake Drvojevic to score a try. I think that'd be pretty cool. In my opinion. Get Gerbo over, one of the forwards. And we've got to pull one more. Yes. So we've got 2 more NRL. Pardon me. Bless me. We got two of the same card, but one's a silver and one's a regular. It's Kira Dib from the Cowboys. But going off this, we got we got Sam Walker. But I don't mind the look of this one. We're going to be pretty forward heavy, actually. Cam McGuinness to score from the Sharks. Boom. Put it in. That's the multi. I'll write it down. We've got McGuinness. We got Gerbo. And we got Lockie Galvin. Now, having Lockie Galvin in this multi is a perfect way on how I'm going to go into the next segment. The final one. An open discussion, one might say. It's a question for you all, and I'll put this out on the Instagram. Who, in your opinion, is the biggest up-and-coming talent in the NRL? A lot of people believe Lockie Galvin's the next big thing. Any team with him will win a premiership. A lot of people like the look of Katoa at the moment. I'm looking at the Raiders, and I'm going, they're a breeding ground of young players at the moment. You got Ethan Strange in his second year of playing NRL. You got Tamale. Unfortunately, he got injured. I had him for Rookie of the Year, and he has been injured this season. Now he's out for 10 to 12 weeks. Hopefully, he gets speedy recovery and we get him back and he's playing in full form. We then have Ethan Sanders. He's only got one NRL game this season. I believe he has a total of 3. And then Owen Paddy. So those 4 are very young players for the Raiders, and we got more coming through. Like, obviously, we got Kyo Weeks. He's going to be a great prospect. And I know I'm talking Raiders, but I genuinely think, in my opinion, the biggest up-and-coming star to watch will be Owen Paddy. Harry Grant, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before. Harry Grant said Owen Paddy had come up to him and was asking all the same questions about the position, the hooker position, dummy half, that he asked Cam Smith when he was playing. The difference was Owen Paddy was 16. I think that's quite an incredible thing to think about. Just shows how Owen Paddy wants to become a player, how seriously he takes this, and how he wants to develop. In my opinion, is very incredible. I think he'll become the best hooker and best dummy half we've seen in the game in a very long time. That's my prediction for the future. This will be put out. So tell me who you think is the up and coming star of the NRL. Tell me, in your opinion, why them. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up there. Bonus pod coming out later in the week. If that's what's not sport, thanks for watching, guys. Catch the Origin special coming out later this week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, 43 minutes. And yeah, let me know how I can improve. See you, team. Thank you.